John, I'm about to go on to the show here. All right, I can't get interrupted. Okay. All right. Bye.
Go ahead, Felix.
Hello, everyone. I want to extend a thank you to Lily Sanchez for inviting me to her show. I think this is very important, especially in us going through these difficult times right now. Obviously, we're just coming out of the pandemic, and there's a new normal. So there's some things that we want to share with you, the small businesses out there that are wondering what's next, or basically some of the programs that would be available to help you through this. So I'm here to basically fill in for John Sanchez, who's our president. Please excuse him. He does have an emergency business. His business is emergency pest control, and then obviously, there's emergencies that come up along the way. So please excuse him for not being here. And he extends his best wishes to
Okay.
all of you. And if there's anything that you need from John Sanchez, you can reach out to our office. You can look that up on Google. It's SS County Latino American Chamber of Commerce. Um, the other thing that I want to touch on is that we've learned a lot since within the last couple of months. We went to several conferences. Me and Lily did go down. Lily Sanchez was hosting our show. We went down to Atlantic City and we attended the New Jersey State Chamber of Commerce conference, and we learned a lot. And what we learned is that there's a lot of money out there for us small businesses. From what I understand, out of the 50 something billion budget, within that budget, they allocated 50 million to small businesses. And I think it's very important that we share this information to help them understand, basically how to apply it for that money that's available. And that's why we're here for. I mean, we're in the process of setting up, and we do this basically every year. It's what they call the 7 steps to legitimize your business. But we actually added a step because we want to go a step further. There's more information that's coming in that we want to share with our small business owners and members that are basically looking to see basically what they can do to basically launch a new business, grow their business, or improve their business. We're always available. You can always reach us. The membership um, has kind of diminished a little because of the pandemic, but things are starting to come back a little bit, and we're working hard to basically get that message out there. So thank you for inviting me to the show, Lily.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Su Negocio y Usted, or Your Business and You. This is a segment and a program sponsored and created by the Essex County Latino Chamber of Commerce, and a space that for now and from now to the future will be aired every 2 seconds to highlight all the discussions of interest that our entrepreneur world needs to hear every week to advance the successful business entrepreneurship. Every week, we will be featuring an interview our executive director John Sanchez, who's been replaced this week by Felix Flores, our public relations executive officer,
Huh?
will be here interviewing our different
This chapter
guests and
111
our
and
different
Google.
highlights and businesses. We also would like to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, that every week also these segments of Su Negocio y Usted will be featuring one selected business among our business members so that we can highlight your business and the importance that it has as contributor in the Latino business community. This week, John Sanchez, as I say, replaced by Felix Flores, our executive officer. But in the future, every week, you will have the pleasure to see our director, John Sanchez, as well as other executive members reporting on what's going on in Essex County and the state of New Jersey at the national level, and also what's happening in our region, in our area, so that we can help you grow and promote your business. This week, this show will be featuring the New Jersey Chamber Alliance report, what's going on with the New Jersey Chamber. And at this time, we would like to acknowledge and thank our executive partners at the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, especially Tom Bracken, the CEO and director, who kindly every week via his communications officer, Scott Goldstein, sends us the messages so that we can transmit to all chambers that are in compliance the different minutes and the different meetings and facts that we need to share as entrepreneurs among ourselves so that we can enrich our business platforms with what's going on in policy making, not only in the state, in the county, but also in the United States that could eventually either benefit or hurt our business. At this time, I would like to move to ask Felix to introduce our honorable guest. We have a very important guest today, and I'm going to ask after Felix introduces Dr. Castro if we can have a little bit of a report on what's going on the New Jersey Chamber Alliance.
Yes.
Felix.
Yeah, it'll be my pleasure to introduce Dr. Hector Javier Castro. I've known Dr. Javier Castro for many years now. In fact, happens to be my physician. He sat on several boards with me, starting with the Latino Leadership Alliance, and he also has a group of medical doctors that came together called DA Medical that actually provided services through the pandemic. I mean, there was a lot of situations that we came across that we had potential patients who basically had COVID and they didn't know they had COVID, and they didn't know where to reach out to. So thank goodness we basically got connected with Hector with DA Medical, and they provided these free services. Basically, you can call into the hotline number, and they would consult you as to what's the next steps and what's the best thing for you to do to go and get treatment. He's actually got himself involved also on the international level, where they sent the team out to Peru to do an investigation in reference to the pandemic that was going on out there, because there was a lot of issues going on out there. So they basically went out to see how they can help. But it's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you Dr. Javier Castro. He's been in the medical industry for so many years. He's helped so many people, and I'm so grateful that he's on our team. So I want to present to you Hector Castro.
Dr. Castro, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to have you here. What an honor to have you. And just beginning from the get go, you represent the 36,000 doctors and medical related field personnel that are also entrepreneurs in the state of New Jersey.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Lydia, and thank you, Felix, for having me on a wonderful show. And yes, unfortunately, most healthcare providers, starting with physicians, they're not very much involved in the health business or health system business field. We're involved in the clinical aspect of it. So yes, there are not that many physicians that are involved in the health business side of it and health administrative and development side of it.
Dr. Castro, one of the discussions that we had, and I know that I just had recently a discussion with the state director of the SBDC. And one of the things and the points that we were discussing with her is the possibility, and this is through the Essex County Latino Chamber of Commerce, is to have that conversation, that necessary initial conversation between the different boards, the New Jersey Chamber, as well as the policymakers and policy writers, to make sure that we are teaming up with the doctors that are also entrepreneurs, and a lot of times because of the incredible heroic role that the first responder have received, especially in during these 3 years of heavy pandemic. We've seen you more as our saviors, as our heroes. You've been the forefront of taking care and treating the nation, but somehow, because you're also entrepreneurs and businessmen, you've neglected a little bit that business part because you've given a little bit more into your promise of serving as doctors. But at this time that we're coming back to like re-injecting and renewing the economy in the state of New Jersey, these 3 years of lapse that all doctors that have also their business stopped because they've dedicated themselves to like recovering the state and recovering the nation's health system, and globally too, has affected definitely your businesses like individually. And it is important that the conversation on how we can all help renew that commitment with the medical doctors that are also entrepreneurs needs to happen soon in the state of New Jersey.
Well, Liddy, that's an excellent commentary that you made. But and to better understand it from a very important perspective is to understand the following. The healthcare industry last year spent $4.4 trillion in total healthcare in the United States. $4.4 trillion. Now that includes everything. Everything from a band-aid to hospitals, pharmaceuticals, etc. Now, the problem is that the physicians, starting with the physicians as the main healthcare providers, they are what we call at the point of care, in which they are dealing directly with the health needs of patients and other services. But the reality is also that the decisions as to how that care is administered, through what methods, how it's paid, how it's allocated is not made by physicians. It's made by non-physicians, and this is what, as you say, either regulatory makers. They also are people who are administrators, and then everybody else who, at this point, really doesn't impact the direct delivery of care. And there is a disconnect a lot of times when what's happening at the point of care, where the healthcare system meets the patient, and also the people making decisions as to how it's going to be paid and how it's going to be delivered. So, and yes, doctors, because they train so many years to provide care, are not attuned as to how to deal with either the administrative or business end or the regulatory or policy end. And I think that COVID has shown that the reality is that we all need to come together, as you say, to really understand what it is to deliver care and to focus on providing the best quality care in the most efficient and cost effective way.
In a general form, I want to bring up a little bit of the points that we just received this week, courtesies of our friends in the New Jersey Chamber Alliance meetings via his communication officer, Mr. Goldstein, courtesies of their president. Mr. Bracken, Tom Bracken, and I'm gonna say something that I think is important, and I want Dr. Castro that not only represents the Essex County Latin American Chamber of Commerce, but he's also a member of the Hudson Latin American Chamber of Commerce. He also represents the 36,000 doctors that work in our region that are also entrepreneurs. And oftentimes it's a group that we do not observe, or sometimes we don't include in the conversations of entrepreneurship, because we are so concentrated and focused on the what they give to the community in regards of the medical field, but we don't think that as entrepreneurs, they also deserve their share of fair representation and due process. So I'm going to go back to this discussion, perhaps interjecting, because I know that also, as you might know, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Felix Flores, aside from being a representative of the the Essex Latin American Chamber of Commerce, it's a historic teamster of many, many years that represents a tremendous number of units and also unions in the state of New Jersey, a lot of the inspectorships and a lot of the offices and important roles that we have in the state. And he's also somebody that constantly has spoken to us in the different alliances at the national level. And therefore, these are like heavy shooters in regards of where their opinion stands about chambers and how businesses not are at all or are not at all fully or wholly represented in our state. And this is not a complaint in the business boards. I'm talking about the state itself, and I'm just going to take the liberty to read a little bit of the state report. This is the New Jersey Chamber State Report that represent all businesses in New Jersey. We had the opportunity, Felix, to be in Atlantic City in the Renew Summit, where hundreds and hundreds of different chambers of commerce were representing the views of the business sector in the state of New Jersey, which, by the way, only in a year represented $96 billion of contributions to the state's economy. And I must say that if we actually pile it up as a whole, not only Latinos but everybody, we're talking about $300 billion. That is very significant in the economy of the United States. So we are not speaking on behalf of our ethnicity. We're speaking on behalf of business platforms that sustain at this time the economy of a very ill economy in the United States. So, and I'm concerned about this, gentlemen, and please, like interject when you have a chance. The state budget, and I'm talking about the New Jersey state budget that was signed a week ago, specifically on June 30th, and was expected to yield some assistance, some further assistance to the business sector, did not approve any additional money. The New Jersey Chamber announced it was a missed opportunity to strengthen the business community. And if anything we learned in the renewed New Jersey Chamber Summit, Felix, was the fact, and the Governor Murphy was there, he greeted the businesses, but quite honestly, his announcements and his speech in front of the business sector was a lot of words and very little proposals. And I'm concerned about how the state is moving into a new budget that, despite 4 billion in surplus and 3 billion in federal pandemic aid, it doesn't give almost nothing or additional monies to the business community that so much needs it. So I would like to hear your opinion, gentlemen, on these
Right.
matters.
Well, let me just elaborate off of what you had mentioned. Yeah, I mean, I think the state missed this one, especially coming out of a pandemic. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that went under. Close to 30% of the businesses have went under. And we have to find ways to see how we can get them back into the mainstream, because you got to understand, businesses provide tax revenue. Okay, so it's not like the state's going to lose out on any money. The bottom line is, if we can get them up and running and then basically get their business going, obviously they can create some tax revenue for the state. Now, the thing is that what's important here is that, he did set up the Main Street Recovery Fund. He allocated 50 million. Okay, and we appreciate that, but it's not enough. Based on some of the numbers that are coming in that I've been looking at, we have close to, just in Newark alone, we got close to 1,100 Latino businesses. And then within the county, we're talking about 30,000. So are we reaching out to those businesses? We have to do a better job in communication, not just us, as well as the state.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd like to add, Felix, to this situation, and again, from a health professional perspective, that doctors and physicians, especially the ones that are in private practice, they themselves are small business owners, but yet they're never looked upon it. People believe that they somehow have some type of organization. We don't. The AMA, the American Medical Association, does not represent doctors in that sense. And it's a whole discussion of whether they do in general, but only 60% of doctors in the country are members of the AMA. But that said, a very important sector of the small business community are physicians. And one of the biggest problems that physicians are having as a small business owners, that they are also having to struggle with the same problems that any small business owner is having. Now, I spent 25 years as a teaching doctor at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City, and also New York Medical College in New York State. And I can tell you that the young doctors coming out of medical school right now, they don't even want to go into private practice. They either want to work for a hospital, they want to work for a clinic, and just literally like almost like a 9 to 5 job and not deal with it. What that means is that then, as a small business, the doctor in the community, they're getting less and less and less. Now, mind you, it's not just that doctors and small business owners are becoming less in our communities, but remember, they hire secretaries, receptionists, they're buying supplies just like any other small business. And when you're talking about a health field that's a very large component of our economic powerhouse, that's a big impact. And in addition to also the lack of community access. Now, most people believe that the safety net in our health system are the hospitals and emergency room. In reality, no, it's actually the primary care physician. Why? Because they're the majority of the doctors out there. So as we lose doctors in their communities, we're exposing ourselves to a lot of health related issues, but also we're losing a sector of the small business community that we're having. That is why I'm happy that with the Essex County Latin American Chamber of Commerce and the Hudson County Latin American Chamber of Commerce, that now we're creating a sector in the small business chambers for health providers of all types, because we need to survive also like any other small business.
Two comments that arise from your interventions. Number one, and I would like the two of you to write down these two questions because I need specific answers. The importance of local chambers of commerce that represent our own businesses. And number two, the importance of business that are not members to become involved in the chambers. As I leave you with those two questions, I would like to continue reading the last points of the New Jersey Alliance meeting result. Aside from what I just announced of the state budget of Governor Murphy, it reads, despite 4 billion in surplus and 3 billion in federal pandemic aid, the said budget gives virtually nothing to the business community. No substantial new investments are budgeted for the business community outside of a comparatively small outlay for the Main Street Recovery Fund, 50 million in a 50 billion budget, or 1/10 of 1% of the budget. A measure that would have given tax credits to some companies in New Jersey to offset a payroll tax hike, a lot of them doctors, to replenish the unemployment insurance fund, was left on the cutting room floor during last minute budget deliberations, and no explanations had been given. The question is why? So interesting factors, and as I leave you with those points, and there's more, but I'm sure that everybody can read this report. We want to place it on our website so that everybody can read, because I want to move on to like local chamber businesses. Gentlemen, your responses.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's very important that you do join, if you're in business, to join your local chamber of commerce. We offer a lot of different services. We do a seminar. We want to try and do it quarterly, but we do it like once a year. We call it the 7-Step Seminar to Legitimize Your Business. There's a lot of business owners out there that basically are not aware of how important is a Bruns and Bradstreet number is. Basically, that's is a mirror of your business. Basically, pretty much explain, how your business is functioning, how's your credit. So that's all essential information when you want to basically say, for example, if you want to apply for a bid in Essex County, if you want to apply a bid in the state of New Jersey, you need to have a business plan, which we call a capability statement. That basically what we do here at the Essex County Chamber of Commerce through our 7-Step Seminar. We cover all those different areas of how to basically help launch your business and improve your business. And it's very important that you understand that, I mean, for your little investment, you get free consulting services. We have networking events. We recognize all those small businesses to large businesses of the good work that they've done within Essex County, and which is that's why it's essential that that the small business owners understand how important it is to join the Chamber of Commerce. And I think that if we basically are able to get that message out, do a little better job of getting that message out, we can see more businesses start to expand their businesses, and also to learn about how to deal with the new normal. I mean, from what I understand, for example, I was in the beauty industry out in New York, and they've had some changes. For example, if you own the beauty salon, now you basically have to provide ventilation. Now you get yourself in a situation where here you're leasing a store, but you don't own the property, and it's very expensive to come in and install an HVAC system, basically to be able to operate your business and not get fined by the sanitation department. So that's why I say it's very important that you connect up with the local chamber of commerce, so then this way they can help you through that.
Of
Well,
course.
well, from my perspective, like I said, it's important that we get my colleagues in health industry for the same reasons that you feel that there is an importance of getting all the small business membership. But we have to be honest, not just why it's an important. We have to also understand why they don't do it. A lot of times, the small business owner is so busy just trying to survive and trying to keep up with new regulations and trying to just make it to the next payroll that they don't have time. That's number one. So a lot of times it becomes more important for the chambers to actually go out into the community, as opposed to just saying come to us, because it is very difficult. And
I agree.
especially, and this has been true even before the pandemic, and now it's even more so right now, because people are having to, everybody's having to reinvent themselves. And I feel that the chambers now stand in a very important position to help the small business owners evolve into the new way of doing business post pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of agree with that 100%. Also, the what I've encountered is a lot of these small businesses, when you talk to them about money that's available through the state of New Jersey, they have no clue that the money is available. And not only that, they don't even know how to apply for it. So that's where the chamber can step in and basically walk you through the steps as to how to apply for that money. Also, we do have situations where, we have uh, Latinos that really don't know how to write in English or read English. So, it's very important that we also communicate that out in a bilingual way of sending out the all the information. And I think me and Lily had a big discussion about that, because we recently had a meeting with the Essex County Small Business Association. We met up with the director, which his name is Tim Walker, and we're looking into ways how we can partner together to get that message out, not just in English, but also in Spanish and Portuguese and other languages that basically that we need to get out there.
Absolutely. And on that note, it is important that our business members, and especially those people that are wanting to open a business, who probably are going to become members because of the representation that local chambers and state chambers can mean for a business platform, we should know that we had, as Felix said, a recent very successful meeting with the Office of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action of Essex County, Tim Walker and Tammy Marshall, and they agree that they need chambers like ours and other chambers, other Latino and other chambers in the whole state of New Jersey, so that they can place information about how to get certified, how to bid for big contracts. New Jersey just got $750 million contract to do different things, and a lot of alliances are being required to have diversity and inclusion clauses so that we can, or they can, respect that 5% of contract that goes to Latinos, to veterans, to minorities, to different type of groups that have not been attended before, and they approaching us so that you as a member can get information and on how to get certified and how we can facilitate, along with the Small Business Association and with so many other boards from the state, on how to get you certified so that your business can participate on these bids and can get on that very brand new of suppliers, diversity suppliers, that the state, the county, and every single unit locally is trying to build now. And we are proud to announce that the Small Business Development and Affirmative Action of Essex County and the Essex County Latin American Chamber of Commerce, along with the affiliated chambers under this concept that is called the United Latin American Chamber of Commerce, is going to start operating so that everyone gets a piece of the pie on the information and gets access to all this training. And as a matter of fact, tagging along that, we shall announce that actually courtesies of our Essex County County Controller, Mr. Joe DiVincenzo, they are going to have a training very soon, and I'm going to share my screen with you so that I can. So that we can actually properly share what's going on in the state. They have a very important training to be offered by or for our members. And can you see that? The Money Matters sign? If you cannot see
Yeah.
it, let me just read it for you. It's Money Matters Grant Funding and Certification Workshop. This is announced for Thursday, July 14, 2022, from 10 a.m. in the morning to 12 noon. You need to register for this program. The registration is going to be linked to all of our pages. I'm going to ask Dr. Castro and Felix and everyone else on their businesses to link this registration link so that you can actually register your business and come to this very important event. This is a workshop that is going to include topics like financial financial literacy for business owners, grant funding information, RFP, procurement readiness and mandatory documents, elements of the cost proposal and evaluation process, a state of New Jersey process to become certified as a small business enterprise (SBE), minority business enterprise (MBE), women-owned business enterprise (WBE), and veteran-owned business (VOV). So we are all encouraging you to join us and be part of this very, very important workshop that is actually absolutely free of cost for all of our members. And we want to make sure that all of our business members are part of this important event that is being held by the Small Business Development and Affirmative Action Office, Joe DiVincenzo, and the Essex County office. Gentlemen, one of the discussions that we've also had is the fact that there are certain things happening, not only in our chamber, Felix. We hear that soon we're going to make an announcement about a probable office near Penn Station. We also have a fiesta event coming up that is tremendously important. And in regards of Dr. Castro, there is a conversation and there is a meeting that we need to have with the doctors, because as you said, just because doctors are part of certain like medical colleges doesn't mean that you are represented as entrepreneurs. How do we serve better our entrepreneur doctors, and how do we make sure that your concerns and what you need in regards of your business side of the participation becomes active also in the local chambers? And I am saying this because one of the biggest complaints that our small business and our business members have is that a lot of times chambers have become these social events or social platforms, but in reality we are living a crisis in the state of New Jersey where we have a lack of representation for the business sector. This is evident in the New Jersey Chamber report. Okay, so as a matter of fact, if we go back and you have access to this to the report of the New Jersey Chamber, it says we will also reach out to our attendees of our business summit and let them know about the state lacks of support, especially because we are considering a campaign that will ask our state leaders, and that also should add our county leaders and our city hall leaders in every single city. What are you doing for my business? What is your response to this nice segment of the conversation, gentlemen?
Again, we can look at it from two ways. First and foremost, when we talk about colleges and societies, medical colleges, societies, they're just clubs, essentially. They're not really what we need when it comes to healthcare providers. That's number one. I'm not saying that they don't make an effort, but that's not what their specialty is. It's more geared towards the academic and clinical aspects of healthcare. They do have some aspects of the business end, but the reality is that we need to come right in and join our partners in small businesses. That's number one. Number two, also by making the healthcare provider small business entrepreneur part of the chambers, we can also offer our insight to the other chamber membership. For example, going back to what's going on with the pandemic right now, a lot of people are losing their homes as a result of the pandemic. How? For those people that unfortunately got sick and hospitalized because of COVID-19 pandemic and did not have any health insurance, somebody's got to pay for that. And what's happening now, the hospitals are now saying, you owe us money for taking care of you for 1 week, 1 month, 3 months. And a lot of people can't afford it. And those people that might have some type of assets, those assets now are at risk. Actually, there's some legislation going around in certain states to try to protect them. But small business owners are notoriously at risk also because they cannot afford certain types of health insurance. And they cannot afford any health insurance at all, not just for their employees, but even for themselves, the owners. So we as healthcare providers can help people understand how they can stay healthier so that they can prevent these very big incursions of health related costs. Also, that there are certain products that we're aware of that we can share with the other membership, in which they can afford certain types of health coverages that are more reasonable and also affordable, and protect them from any type of catastrophic event. These are the realities that are living, because a lot of the small business owners do not have healthcare coverage, and then God forbid something happens, then they lose it all.
And if I may, what's what Hector really touched on all the good things, but as a chamber, we're already had a few brainstorm meetings to see basically how can we help service the community, and that not just talking about the community, also talking about this business owners. So what we decided to do is we want to try and create what they call the Latino Health Institute. That'll be the main hub that they provide all the information that the small businesses may need, people in the community, to basically let them understand, what services are available to them. And the Latino Health Institute also is going to communicate a lot of good information as to, what to expect within the next year when it comes to the pandemic. Should we be ready for the next pandemic? How are we going to be ready? What I've noticed here is that when the pandemic came, because I was in business myself, you know, there was no way that I could get myself to continue bringing in the necessary revenue to, the pay the lease that I have to pay for my business. And when you go to the owner, they don't want to hear anything. So I had no choice, and this was per the governor's executive order. Governor Cuomo at the time said that all non-essential businesses would have to close down as of September the 17th of 2019. That put me right out of business. I had a tremendous business. So we need to find out how we can actually relate that with the government. If you get us into that kind of a situation again, what monies is going to be available for us to help us pay that rent so we can stay in business? And like Hector was saying, a lot of these business owners, they count on that money. That money is not just paying rent, it also pays their mortgage. It puts the food on their table. So when that pandemic came through, it really knocked us to our knees. So we have to be smart and find ways to prevent that from happening again. And if something does come down the road, to be prepared for it. So that's why it's very important that we want to start what they call the Latino Health Institute, which is coming very soon. We're actually meeting about it, and it's and it's. I am so happy to, if you don't mind, to announce that Hector Castro is going to be leading that up for us. So you want to touch on that a little bit, Hector, if you may?
Yeah, well, yes, thank you, Felix. Pretty much, this is an extension, a natural extension of all the work that we've been doing for over the last 20 years. And what is this really about? Is actually educating the community. And when we say the community, is all memberships of community, including, and most important, small business owners. But the reality is that the more people are educated, for example, in the small businesses, you're educating people on how to do financing, how to do their taxes, how to do regulatory law assessments, and how it applies into their own small businesses. It also applies to health, and so what we've been doing for over 20 years is going into the community and educating the community members how about healthcare, about preventive healthcare, about how the healthcare system works, so they can better navigate it, and also sometimes even shepherd them through it. So what the Essex County Latino American Chamber of Commerce has come up with, along with its sister chambers, is to create a Latino Health Institute, and which will be a repository and a clearinghouse of education that is high quality education, but that it is shown that we will show the community members, the small business owners, and the small businesses how to apply it. One of our pet peeves is that we don't want people to go to a seminar or a conference or a talk and say, wow, that sounds great, and then they leave. How does that help me, or how can I implement it? The information will never be watered down, but it will be high quality information, but more importantly, explain in such a way so that you, as soon as you leave that interaction, that educational seminar or talk, you know exactly how to apply it in your business and in your life, so that you can see an immediate impact. So this is really merging the world of health in general directly with the community on an ongoing basis. Again, not once a year, not once every 6 months, but on an ongoing basis. Because as we all know, we only think about health when it impacts us, and if it doesn't impact us, but then we get things like coronavirus, and then next thing you know, it impacts everything.
Dr. Castro, one of the things that we have not touched bases with, and I think that that's the reason why these programs, so Negocio y Usted, or your business and you, or yourself, uh, it's so important to exist in our platforms so that we can discuss these issues, is the newly passed marijuana production and marijuana business as entertainment in the state of New Jersey,
Mhm.
and how a lot of business in the past, when initially were the conversations to integrate entrepreneurs into that, like retail business, it was tremendously difficult for them to actually achieve certification because, quite honestly, and from knowing entrepreneurs, friends of mine, and business members of our different chambers that tried to actually incursion into that area, had impossibilities to do, because you had to put thousands of dollars out of pocket to even get the medical opinions, to get the whatever that they were trying to get. So many of them could not even advance to the next step. Now that is more possible. I know that doctors and your platform were helping and being matched and associated with a lot of those entrepreneurs that were trying to do that. I was wondering if you, Felix, or Dr. Castro, have an idea on how is that moving now, in nowadays. I know that I had a conversation with the president of the African American Chamber of Commerce, and we were discussing that it is great that now the industry has opened up in the state of New Jersey, and it is great that they can continue on seeing the Latinos and African Americans as part of the purchasing, like part of the industry. But we also want to be participant. We also want to be the suppliers, and we also want to be the retailers. How do we get a piece on that, and how do we get the doctors involved in all this whole movement?
Well, there's an excellent question. I'll tell you, the doctors in the medical field and the scientific field are the ones that are making this happen. And let me explain: is that everybody gets caught up on, oh, cannabis, be a recreational or medicinal, is going to be available, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a reason why. Because for the past 10, 15 years, scientific research, medical research, clinical research has been showing that it is effective. If it weren't that, it wouldn't go to this level. So first we have to understand that why are we getting to this final endpoint of saying now we're going to be having a whole new industry that's being developed, but it's based upon studies that have shown that there's a lot of benefit from a medical perspective in these industries, and as a result, everybody's moving forward. Most people don't realize that Senate Minority Leader McConnell, right, in the U.S. Senate, he's actually has an investment in the largest cannabis
Hemp.
company in Kentucky.
One of the largest investors in the cannabis industry in the United States of America, and
Exactly.
also a member of the most conservative aisle of our national politics, that prevents sometimes that investors, Latino and African American and others, take a piece of the pie from the entrepreneurial side point. So let's be clear about the false pretensions. That's my
Mm,
personal opinion, gentlemen.
right.
But the
Well,
point about it is that we have to understand that the reasons why we're getting to this is because the science has already shown and the medicine has shown that this is effective. So as a result, now to your question is, who has access to these licenses? Who has access to these certifications? And why? And I will be honest with you, that's beyond my expertise, and I leave it to Felix and you to explain it to us.
right. Well, to be honest with you, the cannabis business industry is growing, but there's been some shortfalls. I mean, my experience of getting involved in the cannabis industry is basically you have to have capital right off the bat. Okay, if you're interested in going into the cannabis business, okay, and you want to apply for a license, one of the things that they look at is your capital. What do you have behind you? Were asking for a liquidable assets of up to of $250,000. Now, you tell me how many Latinos out there have liquidable assets up to 250,000 and that are willing to give that all up to take a chance of going into the business. So that was one of the things that was pretty much difficult. The other thing is that the way it's regulated. From what I can see, what's going on right now, that it's being oversaturated. We're getting a lot of new patients coming in, as there's not enough supply. So what they really need to do is find a way to get more businesses the ability to qualify to go into the industry. So then this way, there's no short supply. Now, for example, if you were interested in going into cultivation, there's certain standards that you would have to meet in order for you to decide to want to open a cultivation facility, which means is, they're going to be looking at, again, they're going to be looking at not just what your liquidable assets are, but also the capital that you have behind you would have to be somewhere around 2 million plus. So it's very, very difficult to go into this kind of a business. Now, there's ways to go in there, but you basically would need some consulting services. I do a little bit myself. That the first thing you would have to do if you're interested in going into the business is, first of all, you got to make sure you have the capital to go into the business. Number two, okay, you better make sure you have a good business plan. They are very strict with the business plan. It has to be detailed information explaining the entire operation. I'm talking about soup to nuts. I'm talking about what you're going to pay your employees, the vacation time they're going to be taking, what your budget is, what is it going to cost you in material. They want everything. Okay. Not only that, it's hard to get the location. You can go out there and you find a location, and you find out maybe the city's not willing to let you go in and sell cannabis. I mean, there are certain cities right now that bought out of the possibility of having a cannabis business in their town. I think that was due by August the 21st of last year, basically to let us know if you're in or out. And that even became an issue. But the reality is that in order for you to go into this kind of a business, you really need capital behind you. You have to have a good business plan. And most of all, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for investors, you need to know how to set up what they call as a pro forma. Basically, it's a projection of your business within the next 5 years of doing business in the cannabis industry. Those are some of the things that you would have to have ready, willing, and able to produce, okay, when you apply for that license. So it's not really difficult. So what they really need to do is try and release some of the regulations to make it a little bit more affordable for us to go into the business. I mean, we have small businesses right now. We have CBD stores that are open right now. Can the regulation down the road say, you know what, they'll be able to sell cannabis? So they should really think about how they can provide that kind of, it could be a special kind of license to do that as well. So the put it down to, the pretty much explain how you're going to go into this industry is something that's very difficult. And I would suggest that you see a consultant and make sure that you get the right information and that you have the capital behind you to go into this type of business. And most of all is the people that you have behind you in your board. You got to make sure that you have professionals on your board. Like, for example, I had a team of doctors. Hector Castro happened to be one of the doctors that were on the board. So you basically have to make sure you have all the necessities, okay, ready to basically to apply for that license.
Okay.
And it's very difficult to get that license right now.
And now, as a mode of saying goodbye, I would like to allow Dr. Castro to just, give us a couple of few words, committing him once again to join us in a future very soon interview, because this conversation has to be extended so that we make sure that we are bringing all the issues of our business and our business entrepreneurs into the conversation of how do we make it better for all of our business. So Dr. Castro, if you could just give us a few final words, and I would like our public relations officer to talk about our Fiesta opportunity. If you have a business and you're interested in promoting your business in a platform that allows you to advertise your platform with thousands, and I'm talking about 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people, we have news for you and we want you to hear it. Dr. Castro.
Yes, thank you very much again. And as I said, the importance of all of this has to do with the fact that finally we need to understand that healthcare is an integral part of our daily activities, including our health industry. Sire Sims, who owns a Sims clothing store here in New York City, his motto was always, an educated consumer is our best customer. And we know in healthcare that an educated patient is our best customer. So we need to educate the community, educate the small business community to be better able to interact. And mind you, it's not just for their care, but also that there's a lot of opportunities in the business side of healthcare. And I'm just going to leave you with this understanding. If let's say you have a deli and you have a Spanish deli, let's say, you might be able to cut a deal with a hospital to provide Spanish food for Latinos hospitalized patients that meet certain criteria. Also, there's a big need for patient education in Spanish, in other languages. So there's a lot of business opportunities, and these are the things that we plan to bring forth to the memberships of the Essex County Latin American Chamber of Commerce and the Hudson County Latin American Chamber of Commerce. And I look forward to coming back and expand on all of these things with both you, Felix, and John Sanchez.
Wonderful. Felix.
Yeah, and I do want to remind you, as Lily touched on, we are involved in an event called the Fiesta in America. It's going to be held at the American Dream Mall on August the 20th. It's going to start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we are involved in that, and we're looking for vendors, exhibitors, sponsors to please get a hold of us basically so we can help promote your business, as well as, you get to promote your brand. It's going to be an excellent event. It's going to be a lot of people over there. The last time they had it in the Meadowlands Convention Center. They had close to 50,000 people. So if you're really interested, please get a hold of us. You can get a hold of me or get a hold of Lily. Let me give you my email address. It's Felix. That's FELIXJRFLORES @yahoo.com. Please send me an email to let me know if you're interested. I can send you what the packages are. We have a lot of different sponsored packages, as well as packages that we have for the exhibitors, as well as the vendors. We are going to have a Spanish pavilion up on the 3rd floor where you can display, all the different new Latino products. If you have a catering service, that might be a good venue for you to basically attend. The only thing is that you're not going to be able to cook hot food. Everything's basically going to be, just warmed up, some kind of an electric tray or something like that or whatever. But I would definitely look into it. They do have a Facebook page, Fiesta in America on Facebook. If you want to get an idea of what they do, you can visit them on their Facebook page. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call.
I want to thank our Public Relations Executive Officer, Felix Flores, our President, John Sanchez, the Essex County Latin American Chamber of Commerce for their sponsorship for this spot in this show, that it will be happening now every 2 weeks here in your channel and the Latin American channels, and you can actually link through everybody's page on this program. We will see you soon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you're interested in becoming a member, remember, Essex County Latin American Chamber of Commerce. You can reach out to Felix Flores Jr. at yahoo.com. You can reach us out through this page as well, or any of the pages of our business members. To all of our business members, hundreds and thousands of them in the state of New Jersey, who every day not only build the economy of the state of New Jersey, but also build the economy of the United States of America and sustain the economies of the world. Thank you for your constant contributions to our community. And to you all, remember, su negocio y usted está aquí para servirles. Your business and your is here to service you. We'll see you next time. Hasta el siguiente programa. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Thank you. Adiós.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.